I think for me, growing up in Africa was amazing because it gave me a sense of being more outgoing and more curious, and also a more open mind. I think like most Parisians have a reputation of being a bit close-minded, so for sure, it influences also my work. I love doing a spring-summer collection just because it is something that just reminds me of that childhood that I had. And I just love being like hot and steamy and all these things, and I'm actually sweating right now. So I, I think like for some reason I grew up thinking like fashion was about women's wear, and I never thought about it for me. And when I left Balmain, I thought of doing a women's wear collection but show it on guys. And then somehow it just transitioned into being a menswear collection because it was shown on the menswear calendar. But really, since the beginning, it was always meant to be for both men and women. And it was just kind of a natural transition that happened. And it was very organic. I just, showed it on guys to begin with. And as we go, I started showing it on girls too because we have as many female buyers as we do male buyers. And yeah. So for my first collection, definitely one of the inspirations that was a very pop culture inspiration was the dirty Christina Aguilera album cover. It had those lace up pants details that kind of became a signature of the brand. And I just love mixing more serious references with pop culture references because it is kind of what defines me and so also what defines the brand. And I think like for me, like one of the iconic girls that I had growing up in the 2000s was Lindsay Lohan. I was obsessed with her. And she still today like will inspire some of the pieces. Lindsay, if you look at this video, DM me. It's kind of crazy actually. It's been only 2 years since I started, and it started as being this really small presentation that I did in Paris about 2 years ago. And 2 years later, I did my first on schedule show, which was amazing. And I also, throughout this journey, was up for the LVMH Prize and the ODDA Prize, and it was really an amazing experience for me. It really put me out there on the map, and it also gave me validation from the fashion industry, which is amazing. And I never really have time to like stop and like enjoy really the moment, but I try to do as much as I can. And I'm really looking forward to a holiday, to be honest. For me, glamour, I think it just comes within you. It's just about being yourself and being your most beautiful self and really embracing who you are and, shining that light. Surrealism, it was a theme of my second collection. We had this amazing egg on the shoulder piece. So it's about what is surrealism today and like referencing art and like making it fashion and kind of also creating those surrealist moments in the fashion scene sort of and like playing with it. It kind of like became a meme too, which is kind of funny. And then the last one was sensuality. That's my brand. That's what I do. So for Winter 19, the inspiration was supermodel, and I wanted to celebrate this supermodel era and also kind of give male models that light that they didn't really have in those years of like the 90s and 2000s. So I wanted to recreate that supermodel group of amazing, beautiful models, but for guys. And the idea was to recreate some of those moments in fashion history, like having these like Naomi and Cindy and all of that. And I kind of started doing that for my Spring Summer 19 campaign, when we had these like 5 amazing boys. It was kind of a reference to Versace. And so for that season, we wanted to have really amazing pieces that were quite glamorous and sexy, but also very chic. We did a collaboration with Swarovski, and we did quite a lot of red carpet pieces, which was kind of missing before. So I kind of wanted to have more of that glamorous feel. And yeah, it was really fun. I loved it. It was kind of like that collection was kind of a very big deal for me because it was my last presentation slash show before my first show on the schedule. So it was very special. And I also had Teddy Quinlivan walking the show, which was such a big thing for me because she represents the brand so well. And she became a close friend of mine. And I love her. And we also had these $1,000,000 briefs that kind of broke the internet also, which was really fun. And yeah. Willy Vanderperre was always one of my favorite photographer. He has been supporting me since the beginning, since the very first season. He shot the eyelid briefs in leather for another man, and he had it in his exhibition in London too, and I saw the print and I was obsessed with it. It was so good. And since then we had been talking on Instagram and DMing and talking about maybe working together. And one day I just asked him like, listen, I did this amazing collection. I think it would be such an amazing thing to have us working together on a campaign shoot together. And he said, oh my God, of course, like that totally makes sense. So we did it and it happened. It was incredible. It was actually the most amazing work experience I ever had in my life. He was so generous and so kind, and the images turned out so beautiful. So I'm so grateful. And I hope that we can continue to work together for the longest time. He was really amazing. So usually the way it starts is that I have a theme. So like last season was supermodel. So from that I will probably like go and do some vintage shopping and research and imagery and all these things. And then I start sketching. And basically I really work in looks. I actually don't like work in like making pieces and then putting them together. I actually sketch like every single look and I kind of know how it's gonna look like. So then because I kind of like the way I do it is I want to achieve a picture. Like, yeah, that's kind of like the end goal is like to have that look, that picture, that iconic moment. More so than like doing garments and garments and garments and then maybe, killing some garments or whatever, because I don't have that luxury, so I need to be very sharp. And so then we start making the pieces. We do everything in Paris. Yeah, in my little atelier. And yeah, I do, for example, that season, having worked at Balmain before, I was doing embellishment and I wanted to recreate that like artisanal feel also in my brand and give it another dimension. And so all the crystal pieces that were on the show, I did most of them like myself. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Nice.
So I love fabric shopping. I love researching the materials that are gonna make the collection. I put myself in a very tricky situation for like production and deliveries and stuff because I will think of a silhouette and a garment and like find the perfect garment for it, the perfect fabric for it. And then, for example, Japan, like I go every year, and we do this research for the fabrics and we find these amazing fabrics such as that one, for example. But then that means that we will buy the last of the roll, which is very tricky because then it becomes a limited edition. But actually what's really fun is that when it comes to the showroom, then we can offer people to have stuff that they haven't necessarily seen on the show, and then create limited edition pieces, and actually gives it more layers because it's still a small brand and a small collection. Then it allows me to experience more and do other stuff that way. So like Matches, for example, will have amazing exclusive pieces that I love and that I will do more for myself as well. So yeah, it's fun. Having my collection being made in France is very important because for me that's kind of what defines luxury. I am a French designer based in Paris, so it only makes sense for my pieces to be made here. And also realistically, it's so much more easy or for me to be able to work with an atelier in Paris because that way I can really check the quality and if everything is being made properly. And it's also very important for our generation to think of solutions that are more sustainable and that give a very positive message. And I think, yeah, as a young designer, that's the kind of things that you have to think about. And obviously, like the quality is really good. So I think right now what's really amazing is that there are brands that are women's wear, there are brands that are men's wear, but also brands that are giving like this message of gender fluidity. And I think it's just amazing to see that everyone can find something that represents them. I don't think that making gender fluid clothes is the future. I think it is something that is for a specific person or a specific market, and I think that it was something that was missing up until now. And so, but I think that traditional menswear and women's wear should still exist, and I think it's more about having something that suits everybody and that everybody can have something that they feel that they are a part of. And so yeah, that's what I think. I think the next step for the brand is to really expand in women's wear. The last show we had more dresses and more specifically made pieces for women, because I do have these girls that are wanting to be LDSS girls. I've really focused so far on LDSS boys, but it's also for girls. So I really want to focus on making more of that, and also continue the underwear and the ready to wear just the same way that I've been doing it, but just like making it bigger and bigger every time. And for me, I just need a holiday. And I'm really looking forward to my summer plans because I need a little bit of a break here.